This is going to be called A Day in the Life of a Breslover Chassid, or we're going to go over the book Seder HaYom. Now I know it says 7 Pillars of Faith at the top, but A Day in the Life of the Breslover Chassid is what we're going to go over. This was written by Rav Yitzhak Breiter, and it's to tell you how to go over your life as a Breslover Chassid. Now you can get this book on BRI at the Breslov Research Institute, or hopefully at your local Judaica. Why I think this book is so important to go over is because once you've committed yourself to saying, I'm going to be a Breslover Chassid, or I want to do the advice of Rabbeinu Zal, I see its power, then this, I would say, is pretty much the only way to go and to make your life, because you need to start making your life focused around the advice that the Rebbe gave you, that Rabbeinu Zal gave to you. And if not, you think you're going to make it your own way or do it your own way, well, now you're taking the very, very hard route, even though it looks like the short route, as we commonly say in Judaism. The long route is the short route, and the short route that's to you is usually the long route. Now, who is Rav Yitzhak Breiter? Rav Yitzhak Breiter is about a third or fourth generation Talmid of Rabbeinu Zal in the 1900s. He's from Poland. And Bekitzer, what happened was, when he became a Breslover Chassid, he had so much fire and zing into his heart from his Rebbe, so he was bringing back Jews by the hundreds, and some might say by the thousands, in Poland. They were bringing them back. They never saw so much light and happiness and joy. The shuls were electrified that he was in. And sadly, he passed away in the Holocaust. I think him and his wife and all of his children, 10 children. And there are many Breslovers that would say that if he was still alive, we would all be Breslovers because of him. Every single Jew would be a Breslover and brought to the fold because of this one man and his heart and the fire that Rabbeinu put inside of him. Incredible. Okay, so we'll jump right into the book then. So, this is the order of the life of a Breslover Chassid. Number one, that everything that you do, you need to bind yourself to the tzaddik. So I'm going to go over these very quickly. I advise you read the book. Number one, I'm going to go and do shacharit. Okay? So I'm going to do shacharit. I'm going to say I'm going to bind myself to the tzaddikim, the righteous people of this generation, the righteous people of previous generation who passed in the dust, and in particular, I'm going to bind myself to the tzaddik emet, because I believe in it. I believe that Rabbeinu Zal, Rabbi Nachman is the tzaddik emet, the nechal noveim ekol chokhmah, and it's because of him. It's through him. It's through my Rebbe. It's through his teachings and my connection to him that now I have the extra power, or I wouldn't say extra. I have the full power because his power is coming from God. He got it the greatest from God, and he's just transferring that power now into his Talmidim. If you connect yourself to Rabbeinu Zal, you now can connect yourself to Hashem. Now that's a big question. You're going to say, well, why on earth do I need anything between? Why can't I just connect to Hashem like most people, or even most Jews? Well, the truth is given to us every day. We say in Az Yishur Moshe, or just before Az Yishur Moshe, which is the Song of the Sea, every morning we say that we believe fully in Hashem and his Eved, his servant, Moshe Rabbeinu. Well, why do we need Moshe Rabbeinu? Because simply we need, I want to use these words delicately, we need a Rebbe, we need a teacher, we need a mediator to guide us, to point us, not that he is anything, but to point us into the right direction, to make sure we're on the right derech, the right path, the right way to get to God. So Rabbeinu Zal is the greatest tzaddik in our generation, and some would argue in all generations, that's a different topic, but because I have such a belief and I see it, so I want to connect myself to him. It's like connecting to Moshe Rabbeinu, and I want to connect to God, so I need a mediator. Plus, we had asked for a mediator. We said when we were given the Torah, God, we can't handle your commandments. After 2 of them, we died. Our souls came out of us. After 2 mitzvahs, we said, Hashem, okay, we want Moshe to tell us the rest of the Torah, not you, Hashem. So Hashem said, okay, I will tell the rest of the Torah through Moshe. That's why it's called the Torah Moshe, the Torah of Moshe, etc. There's much to say about this, but this isn't the point. Okay, we need to bind yourself to the tzaddik emet whenever you're doing a mitzvah, and it's the greatest thing you can do. And some would even go as far to say is that you can't do any mitzvah without connecting yourself to the tzaddik emet. Next is the Arvit prayer. Okay, so we're going by the beginning of the day, the Jewish day, which is at night. So right away you need to do Arvit. Arvit is for Breslovers is 20 minutes after Shkia, after sundown. So right away you need to get in there and jump on that and give it all your heart. Then obviously right afterwards you need to go to bed. Why? Because what's coming up next is Chatzot. So the order is go and do Arvit. Now go and do Kriyat Shema. Go get ready for bedtime. Okay, you're about maybe 30 minutes past sundown now, or 40 minutes past sundown. Also make a cheshbon nefesh, make a reckoning of your day. Go in there and say, okay, this is what I did wrong, Hashem, and make sure on it. I'm sorry I yelled at my wife today. I'm sorry that I didn't give enough tzedakah today to this person. Hashem, I was doing bitul Torah. I wasn't learning Torah, and I was looking at my phone too much today, etc. Make that cheshbon so okay, tomorrow will be another day, and I'm going to get a little better at it, etc. And now you're ready for sleep. And you need to get up for Chatzot. Now Chatzot, Bekitzer, is 6 regular standard hours after the 20 minutes, which is the Tzedek Kokavim mark. So 6 hours after Tzedek Kokavim, or sometimes I make it easier, 6 hours and 20 minutes after sundown, is the exact moment of Chatzot. And many dedicated Breslovers would make sure you get up half an hour before Chatzot so they could wait and anticipate such a beautiful moment. In English they're called golden hours. We'll have to talk about that another day, but you need to get up for Chatzot. It is one of the biggest eitzot the Rabbeinu says, and then you go ahead and you do Tikkun Chatzot. You don't necessarily have to, but it's advised that that's the first thing you do, and it should be done before Alot HaShachar. We'll have to get into the laws of that somewhere else, but B'Kitzur, you should do Tikkun Chatzot, and then the next thing you should be doing is your Hitbodedut, your 1 hour of Hitbodedut at night should be done at that time. It's a beautiful time, it's dark, it's quiet, no one's going to bother you, your wife and your kids are sleeping, it's a time to pour out your soul to Hashem, and this is the greatest time. Again, another lesson to explain the powers of that. And now, also when you get up, or let's say you weren't able to do Chatzot, but whenever you get up, or at some point in the night in your avodas now, you're going to remember Olam Haba. Now this is so important, even though we think it's so underestimated, and I underestimated it for such a long time, and I need to increase it. The whole purpose, the whole fire is knowing that there's an afterlife, that we are going to be resurrected, and we're going to go to a different world, an eternal world. Like, an eternal world is unimaginable, but we have to learn to try to imagine it and to see what it is that we're working for. Why do we suffer for 70, 80, 90, 100 plus years on this earth, toiling, laboring, arguing, having to deal with dirty diapers, having to deal with ourselves and sicknesses and people passing away and crimes and hurts and evil people, etc. Why must I deal with this? This is your strength. When you know that all of this is just a test and all of it is good, you must remember Olam Haba. So Rabbeinu says, when you get up in the morning, okay, hopefully it's at night, but most people get up in the morning, remember Olam Haba. So you know and you have the energy of what you're going to put yourself into for the day, and not that it's just a day for itself, because a day for itself in the physical world without any purpose is dead. Talks about getting up like a lion. That's the first halakha Shulchan Aruch. Okay, it takes a lot of effort to get up for Chatzot. And before I go any further, in case you take it too strongly, like, well, I really can't do Chatzot, and I understand, you must try your best. Okay, maybe start with nets. Try to be consistent to try to get up for nets. Maybe a few months later, try to get up an hour before Lot HaShachar, and then 2 hours before Lot HaShachar, etc. In the winter, if you do manage to accomplish Chatzot, you're looking at 4, 5, 6 hours, depending where you are, or more, of learning, prayer, pouring out your heart, crying over the destruction of the Tzadikim, also aka the Beit HaMikdash. That's another story that you could do with quietness, everyone sleeping in the middle of the forest, or in a Beit Midrash, or in your home, or even in your room if you're alone, whatever it is. There you can serve a God with all your heart, undistracted, and it's called Lishma. It's called for the sake of heaven, because who else gets up in the middle of the night, not is up, gets up in the middle of the night and stays up for the rest of the night and just focusing on Hashem. We'll continue. Next then is the mikvah. Most people go to the mikvah if they're up for Chatzot. They do it before they do the prayer shacharit, which is very, very important. But if not, he's telling you, just get yourself to a mikveh of the day. Do your shacharit prayer. Try to do nets. Nets was huge. Bekitzer, the Baal Shem Tov, for a very long period of time, for him and his Talmidim and his shul, he would lock the doors after his Nets minyan to tell everyone there is no other minyan. The only minyan you should be doing is Nets, which means sunrise. I should be getting up an hour before sunrise at bare minimum, and I should be waking up the sun. I should be waking it up, and I should be the one that's going to show Hashem that I'm like a lion. I'm getting up for Him. I'm not just getting up because my body's getting up. I'm getting up for God. I'm doing the work to get up. The next thing now, he would say, okay, well, that's a lot of avoda. What am I learning? I haven't seen so much learning yet. Okay, he didn't put it in there. Okay, I'm adding it. We learn in a lesson, look at Imran, you should learn the Talmud and you should learn the Mishnayot at night, specifically at night. That's a different lesson. I'm just saying that's something you could do at night. There's much more to say on that. Next, you should learn Shulchan Aruch every day. Since you should learn Shulchan Aruch every day, you need to learn the laws. You need to pick a book that you're going to learn best out of. Maybe you don't know how to open up a Shulchan Aruch, so at least pick up an English sefer or a translated sefer into your language. And maybe you're Ashkenazi, maybe you're Sephardi, maybe you're Chabad, so you can go on the Chabad website. There's lots of halakot from the Rambam there and so forth. If you're Sephardi, you can pick up a translated Yalkut Yosef or Ben Ish Chai, etc. Whatever it is for you to learn halachot and to do them, you should do. He's telling you Shulchan Aruch because in his time Shulchan Aruch was the book to open up and be able to read all the poskim, and most people were able to, who were learners, to go and do that and now pick up what the halacha is for that time. But now we live in a more modern time, and some of us don't know Lashon HaKodesh, some of us are non-Jews and we're like, I want to learn something. So you just have to learn the way of life and what to do, whether it's modesty, not to steal, keeping the 10 Commandments or the 7 Noachide laws, etc., how to keep Shabbos. Go ahead and learn that. There's much to say. There should be an order. He always says you do it from A to Z, from page 1 to the end. But we'll have to talk about that somewhere else again. Hey, what to do? We've explained already. You should go over the books of Rabbi Nachman every day. So now we're still in the morning. Now you're getting up. You've done all your amazing avoda. You've finished Nets. You went to the mikvah, or you did the mikvah before. Now you need to get into his works. Specifically, you're going to need to get into Lukatei Moran and Lukatei Halachot, which he'll speak with, and Lukatei Tefillot, which we've gone over already, so I'll leave that there. One other aspect here is Tehillim. You need to do Tehillim every day. He says you need to do a minimum of 10 Psalms every day. Now we can interpret that as being you need to do Tikkun Klali every day, or just Stam, you need to do 10 Tehillim every day. If you do that, in 15 days you'll always finish the book of Psalms, which I usually end up doing both, God willing. I try my best to do Tikkun Katsot, or Tikkun Klali every day. Tikkun Klali are the 10 famous Tehillim that he put in order for us to say, and yes, to say every day as best as we can, or at least on Shabbos. And for us to do an additional 10 Tehillim to what? Rabbeinu says in a lesson that anytime you read Tehillim, you should see yourself in it. You should see only yourself in Tehillim. And you should be reading it when he says, like, Am a Chassid. David Melech says, Am a Chassid. Say, Am a Chassid. So the famous story in Breslover is, well, there was a Talmud that came to Rabbeinu and said, how can I say these words and say, Am a Chassid? I'm very far from someone who's super righteous and going above the law. That's what a Chassid means. And he says you need to learn to believe it. You need to learn to believe it so you can become it. Victor Miller says, fake it till you make it. At least fake it. I am a chassid. I can be a chassid maybe when you say those words. When you say Tehillim, see yourself in it. See yourself as David HaMelech. See yourself as the person going through the persecutions, going through the stories, going through your troubles and your personal struggles, and you'll honestly see the light come out of Tehillim. Tehillim is written with you in mind. Eating, make sure to eat in respectable manners. That's a big topic he speaks about here, but again, Bekitzer, you need to eat. They talk a lot about Pat Shacharit, which is usually 4 or 6 halakhic hours after, well, it's either after Alot HaShachar or after Shkia, or some opinions will even say when it comes to Pat Shacharit, eating a meal with bread is 6 hours after you wake up. Well, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, that might not work out so well. But anyways, you should have a good, healthy meal and eat well. We'll talk about that somewhere else. Earning a living. If you need to earn a living, which most people do, it has to just be done honestly, in righteousness, and that's actually the greatest place where you can let your light shine. All your avoda now for the day Hashem says, yeah, but I also made you human, and you need to work, and you need to do physical things. You can't just learn Torah all day and be an avoda. You have to get dirty, and maybe you don't work, but you have to spend time with your wife. You have to spend time with your kids. You have to do physical, mundane things. Just like Hashem Yitbarach, He comes in His great light, and He manifests Himself in so many different ways for our sake, not for Him. Or like a parent does for the children, so too, you too need to use all your light now and bring it down to the practical, to the simple things, to reach out to people, to talk to people, to have a conversation, etc. Next, we should be giving tzedakah. You should always be giving tzedakah. When should you give tzedakah? When you're davening. You should give to the people that are coming around. Usually there's quite a few people who are going around shaking the change and asking for tzedakah. So tzedakah, charity, should be something you're constantly giving. It's also part of this daily routine. Next, distributing Rabbeinu's teachings. He says that you need to give over Rabbeinu's books everywhere. Distribute them. They're extremely important. One of the top mitzvahs of being a Breslover is to spread his light and let the people do what they need with it. That's their choice. But you need to spread this light by spreading his books. There's no doubt. I'm not a nanach. I'm not here to say anything bad about them, but they've done an amazing job with going and sending out these books. All these amazing Sephorim. They've covered all of Rabbeinu's Sephorim in English, in French, and obviously Lashon HaKodesh, etc. And they've spread it across the world. There isn't a Breslover or a Breslover shul that doesn't have all these Karen books, all these books made by the Nanaks there, which is amazing. So we need to spread his books like that. We should spread his books like wildfire. I hope I'm doing my part by sharing these videos. Continuing. Sanctifying the 7 lights, that's a whole story, but the 7 lights have to do with your 2 eyes, your two noses, your 2 holes in your nose, your 2 ears, and your mouth, and guarding them. Guarding your eyes, guarding what you hear, guarding what you smell, and guarding what comes out of your mouth, B'kitzur. I'll have to go over it again another time. Simcha, happiness, always being happy, always being sameach, that you're approachable, that people was like, I can go to you, that you're the guy I want to speak to, etc. It should pour through your life. Now, I have to say just a little bit about this. Simcha, Rabbeinu says, yes, if you have to do silly things that are kosher. You have to do silly things, maybe to drink a little bit of wine, maybe you have to dance, maybe you have to just yell up and scream. If it's going to get you out of depression, and it's going to get you out of being an ugly person, then yes, do those things. But is that where it ends? No, God forbid, it doesn't end there. The real simcha, which I'm sure even goes on forever, is that when you know in your heart what you're serving God for, when you're connected to Olam Haba, when at the moment you're thinking, I know what I'm doing, I know who I'm connected to, I know I'm connected to the tzaddik, I know I'm connected to God, and you're in trouble, you're in the worst places, God forbid, but you can connect, it's in your heart, and maybe sometimes your face doesn't even express it. It says Rabbeinu Zal many times was looking like he was upset or angry or at least really focused, but he always said inside I was very happy. We have events that happen, but you can be happy because the happiness is knowing where you're going and what you're doing and what you're doing it for, even though at the moment it's very difficult, it's very hard, but you're internally happy. On the flip side, you can have people that are like, wow, I'm very happy. Don't worry, be happy. I think that guy committed suicide after a few months after putting that famous song that everyone knows, don't worry, be happy. Or many comedians. We know that many comedians are actually really depressed. So because deep inside they didn't put the deep simcha, the inner simcha that needs to be inside there. It is good for a moment to jump around because that jumping around and smiling brings you somewhere. But it has to come from within. It has to come with a conviction that I'm doing something amazing with my life and all my sufferings are worth something. Okay, he says you need to make shuva every day. That can be done in the Keshbon Nefesh, that can be done in your Hitbod Adut, etc. But teshuva needs to be done every day. Again, I wish I had a lot of time. You need to make shuva every day. In fact, Rabbi Levi Yitzhak Bender in Divrei Emunim, which is called the Words of Faith, he says, you have no idea. You should be spending 24 hours a day in teshuva. You do something, you should think so deeply how on earth you could slap Hashem Yitbarach Kaviyachol in his face when you did something wrong. I put treifot in my mouth, I spoke evil to my wife, I spoke evil to my children, I spoke evil to my rabbi, I spoke evil about someone 500 years ago, I spoke evil about a chacham, etc. How can I do such horrible things? How can I not give enough tzedakah? How can I just walk by people that are poor and destitute? How can I not smile on the street? There's endless things you could think about. How I thought about immoral things, how I think about money all the time during davening, how when I daven I just want to leave. This shows your sincerity, though, that you're human, that you're flesh, that you need help, that you need Hashem, that you need to rely on Hashem, that it's not you. You alone cannot do it. You are flesh and blood. You are fighting in a massive war, a huge, massive war. We'll have to get into that, but you should make Shuvah every day. Love your friends. Or Sikot Devarim. You need to speak words with your friends. Sikot Chavirim. Speaking words with your friends. Sorry about that. You need to love your friends. You need to express time. You need to give them time. I try my best to spend half an hour a day to give love to my friends and call them and see how they're doing. I remember there was a rabbi who gave a shiur on Tisha B'Av. He said, one of the best ways to bring redemption is to show people you care. So spend maybe half an hour. Obviously your wife deserves half an hour every day. That's not a question. But go outside your box and say, you know what? I haven't called this person. Go down your phone list of I haven't called Reuven in a long time because it starts with R and I never get the R on my phone. I need to call Aaron. I know that he just had a simcha. Maybe my best friend in yeshiva. He hasn't found a shidduch yet. I think maybe we can find a shidduch. Make time for your friends. Make time for Jews. Make time for the non-Jews. Make time to outreach, to talk, to speak to people, to help anyone in need. Maybe there's a neighbor next to you in New York, and it's an Italian old man, and he doesn't have his wife, and you know how sad that possibly can be. Go over there and make him happy. This is all Kiddush Hashem. I'm adding that in. You would say, well, loving your friends doesn't have to do with non-Jews, but I'm telling you, we have an instinctive duty of Hashem. We are Jews for a reason, to be a light to the nations. So go be a friend to someone. Doesn't matter where you are in the whole entire world. Go be a friend to someone and show God's light. That's what a Breslover is to show God's light. Now we're getting to Mincha. Now you've had a full day of Lukatei Moran, Lukatei Halakot. You'll notice that you're like, well, where was the Gemara, Mishnayot, and other things? In fact, all he said was Rabbeinu's writings, Shulchan Aruch, and at the moment, nothing else. Because these are primary teachings. Now that's not to say that you shouldn't go and learn Parsha Shavua. You shouldn't go and learn Talmud and Mishnayot and Kabbalah, etc. But he's telling you these are the heart potatoes of a Breslover. So go and do that. Okay, now we're at Mincha. Obviously Mincha is an amazing prayer. We'll have to talk about somewhere else. Rosh Hashanah is the last thing he says, which means you need to get to Uman, and I'll leave you at that, which Uman is probably maybe the second biggest mitzvah, the biggest mitzvah. It really is a mitzvah of faith. I'll have to share a whole video on that as well. Dr. Kitzer, Uman is saying, you know what, I know this Rebbe Rabbeinu Zal, Rebbe Nachman, is so amazing, so great, so exalted, has changed my life, has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of Jews and non-Jews. People have converted. There's something about him, and I don't understand why I need to travel 30, 40, 50 hours to Uman. I need to get on a 10-hour, 20-hour flight. I need to get on a 20-hour, 30-hour bus ride and stay at the border for 5 hours and go to Ukraine that's under war with Russia. Why do I need to do such a thing? I could never, and no Breslover could ever tell you they know why. Because it is a secret, it is a mystery, it is huge. There are many things that are revealed about it. I don't want to say it here. However, it comes by faith. Reb Nassan, I'll leave it like this. Reb Nassan said, and Reb Nassan is his greatest Talmud, Rebbe Natan of Breslov. He said, first of all, you should know that coming back into this life, living this life, in a Gilgul reincarnation is extremely painful. It's better just to end it. And even he hints one place that it's better to beg the Beit Din in heaven, or the Beit Din you're going to see when we pass away, to beg him not to send you back and to send you to Ginom, and that you could force it. Reb Nassan says, I would do that, however, if I knew that in my reincarnation I would make it to Uman one time, then my entire life of daily struggle would completely be worth it. Just to go to Uman one time, no matter what else would happen in my life. You have to think about those words and let those words settle. An entire lifetime just to go to Uman once on a Monday, or for 1 week, which doesn't last very long compared to your life. That's how important Uman is on Rosh Hashanah. We'll leave it at that. I hope that was a great understanding of a day of a Breslover Chassid that he should do every day. And then obviously at some point needs to go to sleep and say bedtime Shema again. Okay, have a wonderful day.